It's day 8. I didn't do an episode yesterday because I was up on the roof of my apartment watching the steady influx of zombies enter my neighborhood from the north, from Queens. It was not unlike watching a fire get out of hand. So now I'm not sure if the stay at home as much as you can thing is working. In fact, I know it's not. Oh, and Manhattan has been blocked off. That's a thing that's happening. And my monthly Netflix fee just went up. I knew I should have done an episode yesterday. There's just so much happening right now. This is Still Life with Zombies. So, yeah, to contain at least some of the outbreak in NYC, at least focus on where it's really bad. Manhattan has been blocked off, no in, no out. This is what it's come to. I figure that's why they moved federal troops out 2 days ago and then started moving state and local troops out to the other boroughs yesterday so they could stand guard at all the bridges. Except for what they are calling task forces, who are protecting power sources and internet providers. But I've heard that may not last too much longer. And that sucks for people who actually live in Manhattan if they can afford it. And because there's no warning, it was like the order came down and it was done, so there was no mass evacuation that happened. And also people who were at work at essential businesses, well, they're stuck where they are. So people who work at Starbucks, they pretty much live at Starbucks now. And still doing their jobs, because why not? Of course, there's a lot of panic going around, and rightly so. Oh, and there was this rumor that Staten Island had remained a safe zone, which was completely not true, thanks social media. So a bunch of people started swimming for it. It became this whole thing, and a lot of people drowned and are now floating around New York Bay and becoming zombies. Yeah, good job. I don't blame you, but a little foresight may have been warranted. Like, can you swim? First of all, can you swim? Can you not swim? Okay, then don't make this your practice run. Can you fight? Because if you can't fight, then you're going to be met by angry Staten Islanders who think you're trying to make their lives worse. They already have a high cancer rate for living there. They don't want the extra misery. Now, here's the thing. When I said there were no evacuations happening, that's not completely true. Members of major media outlets like Fox and NBC, media personalities, in fact, were airlifted out because they knew this was coming. Of course they did. They're the news. All but HBO. Apparently, they were not in that loop, so Idina Menzel and Timothy Oliphant will continue to report from the thick of it. I'm not sure how that will affect their reporting or their banter, but I'm guessing in some way it will. Oh, and like I said, state and local troops are now monitoring the bridges to Manhattan, which leaves basically all the people that were hired to assist. They're on their own now. So they're basically forming hunting parties, and I knew this would happen. There's just bunches and bunches of videos of these guys showing their work, posting videos, live streaming, and appearing as if they're having a good old time. And they're just shooting at anything. That's pretty clear. There was one video I saw that featured a guy named Gary who shot someone who was running, which right now is not something zombies seem capable of. You can't see the kill shot. Gary said he got him, but he was also using his smartphone to record. And when his friend, I don't know the friend's name, pointed this out to him, the running thing, Gary let out he said, huh, it was a preemptive strike. Good one, Gary. Don't lose your sense of humor. Upstate New York is starting to get bad. Jersey is starting to get bad. Connecticut is starting to get bad. Pennsylvania is starting to show, as is Vermont, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. And no one seems to know how this is spreading so fast, but they're now going back to the idea of it somehow being airborne and not just through bodily fluid transmission, in that possibly something in the zombies gets into the air and infects those that are dying. And of course, if it's in the air, then it's going to travel. And I heard that this may be working its way outward, spreading into Pennsylvania, and if that's the case, then it's like dominoes with wind. And that's just a mess. Also, it's hurricane season, so that's not even fair. And whatever scientists are hard at work at creating a vaccine, I'm assuming they must be, then it needs to be something that is released into the air or the water, and who knows how long that will take. Could take 6 months, could take a year. Yay. On a personal note, Netflix's monthly fee went up. And I only know this because I saw my monthly credit card statement, and yep, sure did. It went from $12.99 to $764.99. Seriously, $764.99. Now, maybe I should have been paying better attention, but there's a lot going on right now. So yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to things like the price of Netflix. But man, was there even like I never saw any kind of like heads up on the Netflix site. I did see an update to the privacy policy, but those always come up anyway, and I don't care. Everything gets shared anyway, so go ahead and share the fact that I just binge watched Parks and Rec for the umpteenth time. Yeah, share that with Google. I have no idea what they do with that information anyway. And also, stop recommending Adam Sandler movies to me, okay? Just stop. You know that I don't watch Adam Sandler movies because I haven't reached the point where I hate myself. And I mean, how does that work anyway? You think because I watched Being John Malkovich that I would enjoy The Ridiculous Six? What kind of freeform jazz algebraic logarithm are you working with? Because it's wrong. It's very wrong. And it was bad enough before when I had to pay $12.99 for it. And now I have to pay, what? Hold on. Yeah, $765 for it. Oh God, sorry. And I called them. I was on hold for about 3 hours, and the Netflix person told me that I did receive a warning via email. And maybe that's on me because I used an old Yahoo account to open it many years ago, so I don't check it because it's all spam at this point, and I'm not going to give them an email that I actually use because I don't want that to become a spam box too. There's just... Oh, sorry, this is just an irritant that I do not need to deal with right now. I even called my credit card company and asked them if I could stop payment on it. They asked me if I'd canceled the service. I said no, because, I mean, yeah, I should just cancel it, but I started rewatching Breaking Bad and I'm only in season 2. I mean, it's on my credit card, so I could just do the minimum monthly payments. We'll see how long that lasts. Let's move on. I'm done with being angry about it. Just had to get that out. See, I should have done that free Disney Plus offer that came with my phone plan when they offered it. Foresight, yeah. Countries connected to us, and by that I mean Canada and Mexico, are going ahead with plans to combat the issue before this thing reaches them. Canada, for example, is reinforcing their border patrols with medical staff volunteers to determine whether or not anyone trying to enter the country is infected. Not sure how that works if it is also airborne, but good for them for putting something into effect. On the other end of that, Mexico is taking a different approach, more, let's say, militant. They have all of their armed forces at the border and are currently developing a plan to build a wall or reinforce what wall is already there to keep infected Americans out. Yeah, they're going to pay for it and everything. So, like I said, I was on the roof yesterday watching the chaos very slowly unfold. And when I said fire, have you ever seen old video footage of that thing that happened at Waco? That's what it was like. Just hours of watching the flames grow. Now I'm in Ridgewood, which is like this neighborhood on the border of Queens. It's still Brooklyn, I guess. It's weird, the whole neighborhood thing, because if you write me a letter, you can put down Brooklyn or Queens or Ridgewood or Glendale or Flushing. As long as you get the zip code right, I'll get it. Except that right now I won't because I don't get mail. How is that stimulus check thing going to work? They said, I'm pretty sure they said they were going to mail it out. Well, now I have to look into that. I don't know if you know who Diamanda Galas is. You probably don't. I'm a fan. She's a music artist, but also a performance artist. I like a lot of different types of music. I have a pretty wide range of things I like. That's not a brag, I just like variety. Anyway, to give you an idea of what Diamanda Galas is like, to her early stuff. She does her own take on standards right now, like old blues songs, and makes them creepier. She has this voice. Okay, if you've ever seen Dracula, the one Coppola did with Gary Oldman, or the Serpent and the Rainbow, also about zombies, by the way. So that's, yep. Anyway, she does the creepy voices you hear. That's her side gig, I guess. What am I talking about? Oh, yeah, her early work. For example, she has this album called Shry X, and she made a short film version of it and premiered it in NYC a few years ago, and I should have gone, but I didn't. There was a Q&A, and I'm kicking myself for not going. And I don't remember why I didn't go, what excuse I made in my head. I just didn't go, and that was probably my last chance to see her. Anyway, to give you an idea of what she does, the album Shry X comes with instructions as to how to listen to it properly. This was a studio album and a live album she released in the same package, and I can't even picture in my mind how this went. The instructions are something like, to be listened to in complete darkness. And then it's about, I want to say, an hour of wailing. Feels longer. And when I say that, just wailing, it's not just wailing. I mean, there's a lot of it also there's some parts in a lower volume, wailing, and then some spoken word moments. So yeah, this is actually rehearsed wailing. No lie, she writes this down, rehearses it, and performs it. So you have to imagine sitting in a completely darkened room and hearing just waves of screaming coming at you. It's meant to represent the sound of suffering and torture. I have never tried this. I have listened to it. There was a light source. I probably should have tried it in the dark at least once. Maybe I will. I have nothing else to do with Breaking Bad, but that's the thought that entered my head as I watched all these zombies creeping down my street. That's the sound that looped in my mind. Diamanda Galas screaming in complete and total darkness. To be honest, there was only so much of that I could take, so at some point I put my earbuds in and listened to FKA Twigs. Like I said, I like variety. Death Grips, they could also be considered a soundtrack for this kind of thing. I'm going to try that later. Figure out how long it takes me before I start to, um, hmm. Hell of a week. Thanks for listening. As I talk into the void. Like, share, and don't die.